All right, Commanders, Lions, David versus Goliath, the 1 seed playing the 6 seed, which is going to be the biggest jump we will have here in the divisional round. Everyone's expecting the Lions to win the Super Bowl. Everyone's expecting the Commanders to be knocked out right here. But will that happen? I'm not sure if everyone's expecting the Lions to win the Super Bowl, but you get my point. This should be a really interesting game, and in this video, I'm going to talk strictly the Commanders offense against this Lions defense that we keep talking about the injuries. We'll get into the details and talk about what some of these injuries actually mean. I'm going to start off with some charts, going over some numbers, then we'll get into some film, and finally, I will give my predictions on how I think Jayden Daniels and this Commanders offense will perform against the Lions defense. Before I do, though, I will just mention real quick, I do have a movie channel. If you like watching movies, you can check out the movie channel. The link is in the description below, Jackson Kruger Movies. I have like some movie reviews and some other general movie topic stuff there, so if that's the kind of thing, check it out. But yeah, let's get into this preview now. First, we're going to use some PFF grades just to familiarize ourselves with these two teams. This is where they ranked in each positional category according to PFF. Definitely the strength of this team is Jayden Daniels, 4th highest graded passer, and that's just passing. That's not even factoring in his rushing. So he's been an incredibly effective player. Again, if you've watched him, you agree with this. The Lions coverage unit, though, has also graded really well. It's 6th best. Commanders' receiving core is middle of the road at 15th, and the pass blocking has actually been below average at 22nd. Lions' pass rush has been great, but of course that's factoring in half of a season of Aiden Hutchinson, who will not be playing in the divisional round, so that of course matters. Lions have also stopped the run well, and the Commanders, run the ball well, although don't really pass block super great, but they're still able to run the ball well because they have good backs and because they have Jayden Daniels. But again, with the Lions, how much do these numbers actually matter, right? Because they've obviously, what we keep talking about is just how injured they currently are defensively. Well, let's talk about specifically the secondary. I think that's a really interesting thing to note. So these were the 6 defensive backs who got significant playing time week 18, and this is how they play when they're in man and when they're in zone. You're going to see a lot of better numbers for them when they're playing man than when they're playing zone. The two numbers are PFF grade and passer rating. That's passer rating when targeted. PFF measures that a little bit weird because, so for example, Kirby Joseph's passer rating when he's in zone against is 103.6. That's at the bottom right of the screen. But the obvious issue with that, right, is sometimes he's just the closest guy in the area because he's the safety. So passer rating, I wanted to have another stat there, but I would prefer looking at PFF grades, to be honest. Although I think you can still look at the overall passer rating for the team. I mean, you do see literally everyone's passer rating against is significantly worse when they play zone. They're not going to play zone a lot. You think they're going to play man. They might play some zone, but they're going to be playing man. And really what you're probably going to see is a lot of blitzing. But you see, Brian Branch, whether he's a corner or a safety, has been great this season, especially in terms of when he's playing man coverage. Amik Robinson, as an outside corner, has played solid. Terrion Arnold has been a weak spot, and a big part of it has been penalties, so that's something to note. Kendall Vildor is someone who's really more of a depth piece. He played 25 snaps. I expect something similar. Afiti Melifonwu, also a pretty good safety. So good safeties here. The real question, I think, is going to be the Terrion Arnold situation. But also, this is a similar chart, but just for the receiving core, and there's a lot of receiving options that the Commanders have gone through this season. But at the top of the list, he's the main guy to look at, Terry McLaurin. So the two numbers I put for the Commanders' offensive players are PFF grade and yards per route ran. You see Terry McLaurin, very good against man coverage, also effective against zone. They have other guys who can really win in several different situations. Like Brian Robinson, is an effective player. Dimey Brown had a big play against man against Tampa Bay. He can beat man pretty well. So they just have a lot of guys who can perform, and you can go down the list and see where everyone else ranks. But really, Terry McLaurin's the guy I want to talk about. Real quick before I do, though, one last number to bring up is going to be how Jayden Daniels does against the blitz, which is his PFF grade goes down when he is blitzed. And I think a big part of that is kind of the simple stuff of, He's a rookie. Usually rookies struggle more against the blitz. And, the fact he still had an over 80 grade there is really impressive. But B, he can't run as much when you blitz. There's more guys in his, in the area. He has to get rid of the football quicker. If you can get the ball out of his hands, you're usually better off. However, his passer rating actually goes up a little when he's blitzed. So you maybe don't quite get the rushing stuff that you usually get if you don't blitz him, but you're going to hurt yourself on the back end. There's no easy way to play Daniels. Of course, this matters a lot. The Lions blitz third most in the NFL this year, and they've only started blitzing more once they've gotten their injuries. So let's get into some film. I mentioned I want to talk about Terry McLaurin. I find this situation to be really interesting. So if you blitz, you can't have two safeties deep, right? You don't have enough players to do that. So only one safety deep on this play for Tampa Bay. They are blitzing on a 3rd down and 6. And I do wonder how often we'll see Terry McLaurin be able to win these one-on-ones. I mean, if you have a one-on-one matchup, Carlton Davis, the former Tampa Bay corner, now with the Detroit Lions, is injured. He's not going to be playing. So I'm going to guess you put Amik Robinson or maybe Terrion Arnold against McLaurin. Who's going to win that matchup is the question. This is Jamel Dean, a really good corner. As you see, he's not going to give up a ton of separation. I wouldn't say this is a bad job by any means, but that's a great play by Terry McLaurin and great throw from Jayden Daniels. So if you decide to play aggressive, McLaurin and Daniels have to take advantage. They have to get these types of plays. If they can, that can be how they can move the ball down the field. Also, something like this, where it's going to be a 4th down and 2 here. This is the counter for the Lions. It's 4th down. The Buccaneers are trusting it's going to be a passing play here. They're playing man coverage. And the Commanders have a concept designed to beat man coverage. They feel okay about this little more underneath route. It's kind of a rub route situation. When this play begins, it's Luke McCaffrey who's trying to get open. You would think this would work. You would think this could get something to, as of right now, it's looking like it's going to get open. The issue is Tampa Bay's just going to have a switch here. That corner is going to essentially just pick up Luke McCaffrey's route. They're reading this play. There's also some pressure, and the throw goes at McCaffrey's feet. Now, I'm not sure if that was because he saw the pressure or just a missed throw, but either way, that's something that, it's going to show you can stop the Commanders in these situations. And the Lions, this is what they're going to try and do, I would assume. But you're just going to have to be smart. Cliff Kingsbury's going to run some good concepts. You have to be smart enough to beat them, and we'll see how the Lions do. Tampa Bay was able to stop them here. Will the Detroit Lions be able to do the same? Like, the Lions could play some zone. We've seen them do that at times this year. I don't know if it's such a good idea. I mean, like this play, it's a 4th down and 2. You have Terry McLaurin. As I mentioned, he's so good against zone. Watch as when Daniels takes the snap, he's able to quickly get to McLaurin's route. They make the throw. They get the touchdown. The reality is, you're going to see a lot of blitzing. You're going to see a lot of man coverage, and it's going to come down to, can the Commanders take advantage? That to me feels like that's kind of the game, and they've done a pretty good job of taking advantage so far this season. And the other fascinating aspect of all of this is the quarterback scrambling stuff. So on this play, this is what the Lions have done a lot this season. Obvious passing situation. Okay, let's run a stunt. Let's not just send 4 guys and have them try to beat whoever they're up against. Let's get a little creative right here. As you see, when this play begins, here's the issue. So you see that it's a defensive tackle who's now kind of serving the role as an edge rusher. As a defensive tackle, you're just playing as though, hey, let me try and get to the quarterback. The issue is you got to be a little bit more careful against a scrambling quarterback like Josh Allen. As you see, Allen's going to get outside the pocket, and I'm going to pause it right here. Now he has way more time to throw. He's looking downfield. This is exactly what Daniels does. In fact, Daniels had a pretty similar play to this against Tampa Bay in the playoff game that just happened. So, you got to be careful, and you can't let this kind of thing happen too much. As you see on this one, Allen's able to finally make a throw, get a big completion there. Again, I'm not trying to say that Jayden Daniels is Josh Allen, but he's not as different than maybe people think. He's really good. And at the end of the day, he is the guy that scares you if you're a Lions fan. There's a lot of good stuff with this Lions team. Jayden Daniels is a superstar level player, and you have to give him some respect or you're going to regret it. I didn't really talk about the ground game too much in this video other than the scramble stuff, but obviously the Commanders like to run the ball, and again, I don't really know how the Lions are going to defend a run, or is it going to be good or bad? Over the season, it's been good. They're going to put resources into it. In fact, I think schematically, it could be a very similar game to what happened against Tampa Bay. I think that Aaron Glenn and Todd Bowles do some similar things. It's not one for one, but they do at least this year, they've done similar things. And I do think that over the course of the season, the Lions have had better personnel, although now it's hard to know exactly what's going to happen there. But I also think we just saw with the Commanders, they can live without a good run game. Like, they didn't have a good run game against Tampa Bay, and they did well. I think they're going to have a better run game in this game, and I still think they're going to have a good offensive performance. So these are my final predictions for how I think Washington's offense will play. You see that Washington, on average this season, scores 2.82 points per drive. The Lions give up a pretty good 1.91 points per drive. Washington's offense, one of the best in the league, only not too far off from the Lions, who are the best in the league. But you see that Detroit, their defense has played well, but they are banged up. I think a lot of what they've done recently, I don't know how well it's going to slow down the Washington Commanders offense. So I'll say it does a little bit, but I'm still going to go 2.7 points per drive. Like, I'm just not counting against this Washington offense in this game. I'm really not. I think there's ways the Lions could get stops, but to me, this game is going to be won or lost on, offense. This is going to be a game where both offenses have to show up. I don't see a scenario where the Lions are winning 17-13. Like, I just don't think that's the way this game is going to go. Football's weird. I've been wrong about a million things over the course of doing this channel, but that is how I see things shaping up. So if you're a Lions fan, hope you can find a way to cover McLaurin, and even if you double him, I don't know, there could be issues with the depth here, because that's kind of an issue. Their coverage has stayed mostly healthy, but the Davis injury hurts. There's just no denying that. And then hope you can stop the run, of course. But there's a chance that the Commanders can just do whatever they want offensively. That's possible. So really, this game, you can't talk about this game and only talk about one side. Both sides matter. So I will bring up, everything else on my next video where I preview, Jared Goff and the Lions offense against the Commanders defense. So be on the lookout for that. Let me know your thoughts about how this side of the ball could go in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.